Welcome back to Trucker Talk Radio with Behind the Wheelhouse. I'm your host, Justin. We got a great show today. I think it's going to be very educational for especially our drivers and maybe our dispatchers and brokers to kind of learn a little bit about batteries and what clean tech kit's all about at C8 Energy. Their technology is something that is new and looks like to me it needs to be more needed in the industry. So I'm looking forward to learning more about it. Today we have Marie-Andrée Brodeur of marketing with C8 Energy. Thank you for coming on the show. We appreciate having you. And let's just jump right into it. Kind of tell us a little bit about your background and your role there at C8.
Great. Thanks, Justin. And thanks for having us today. So C8 has been up and running for 5 years now. We're not a startup anymore, but we were. So you kind of have all the roles at first. So I was
Right.
helping with marketing, with the shipping, with client support, after sales support, warranties, grants, stuff like that. So I've touched a bit of everything in the company, and I've been supporting Jean, the founder.
Let's talk a minute about a startup, if you don't mind. We have a lot of entrepreneurs on the show. I'm a fourth generation entrepreneur. Since you've been there since the start, first, I'd like to know what brought the ideal of the company, and then what struggles did y'all have in the beginning? It's not easy to open a door, even if the door's a little cracked. It's not easy getting, especially in the trucking industry. The trucking industry is very buddy buddy. You got to know somebody to know somebody. So if you can talk a little bit about what brought y'all to the to start this company and that, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. So it's an excellent question. And as you were saying, the trucking industry sometimes, it's used to something, so it kind of stays that way. What we're changing here is something that hasn't changed since the beginning of trucking. Using lead acid batteries to power auxiliary needs. So the company started with Jean. He was a manufacturing agent. So he would visit fleets. He had a company here in Canada. Going very well. And one of his big clients, he would go over and see a room full of dead batteries or batteries having to be charged, tested, sent back. And he said, wow, this is a big problem. Whether I start selling loads of lead acid batteries or I find a solution to replace those. And at that same place, he knew someone who was very good in developing new stuff. So together they worked to find something that would replace that would take out all the weight, that would make the driver more comfortable in his truck. Jean was also doing a lot of. It was beginning of COVID. He was doing a lot of. He was doing his little van life setup. So you have to find your heating, your AC. And all these technologies already have lithium batteries integrated. So usually VRs have lithium batteries. Everything being safe and effective. It gives you nice, clean energy, stable, longer autonomy as well. So he was trying to see how he could take all of these out. So lithium already exists for sleeper cab needs, but there's also those starting batteries. So the 4 starting batteries also cause problems because of the cold, of them being depleted. Then it's such a big boost of power that's asked of them when you start the engine that it slowly kills your battery after a couple of years. So there were 2 problems to solve. So starting batteries and auxiliary needs. And for the starting batteries, he found something that's called the SkelStart. It's an engine start module made with supercapacitors. And that takes care of the starting needs. It's a very small group 31 size made of capacitors. It's a green technology. There's no hazmat. It's only electromagnetical reaction that stores energy and just gives a big boost to the starting engine. So that already isn't a product in itself. It can be used alone, but pairing it with a lithium battery for the other needs of the cabin is like using a sprinter, which is the supercapacitors, and a Maratonian. So the Maratonian will have a lot of energy for a long time, whether as the sprinter will have energy for a short boost. short boosters for starting and long energy or bigger needs for the cabin. Thankfully for that company, that trucking company, that we were able to bring it to a point where it was able to install it on other fleets and having it known a bit everywhere. And even just the SkelStart was something that we were able to sell throughout fleets as well. So meanwhile, we had that going on too, and the full kit together. So that's how it started. That was the beginning. It's always complicated to
Oh,
start from
yes.
scratch, but having that fleet, having them, they have over 200 trucks with our technology, and it was,
Oh,
it changed the drivers' lives. They really appreciated having that. Even people over there in maintenance, they don't have any maintenance to do on their lead acid batteries anymore. So the warranty guy, I talked to him a lot. Like, this is great. I haven't had any battery warranties,
oh,
any lead acid batteries to deal with, and not much with us. So no problem on the lithium, but it's just getting people, educated on what the supercapacitors are, because they're not used to seeing that type of technology used with the lithium. And when people open the battery box and they see those two, they're like, what is this? What's happening?
yeah, it's not
Where
what
are
they're
the
used to
batteries?
seeing.
Exactly. I feel that after 5 years, a lot of education has been made. People are starting to know us, where we're getting a name in North America. So a lot of fleets in Canada, lots of fleets in the US as well. It's all starting to pay back, let's say.
Okay. All right. Well, I know you've got a presentation that we're going to let you start here in a second. I had one or two little questions, and then I'll let you start that. So we have a broad listening group, which I'm very proud of having. We've got a lot of industry, trucking industry people, from executives, to truck drivers, to brokers, to dispatchers, and everything in between. But we have a lot of audience who really don't know that a lot about trucking. They come on here to kind of learn, educate themselves. Maybe it's a driver that's 18 years old that's wanting to go get a CDL license and become, an owner operator someday. So it's like a two-part question. You know, what does it solve? I mean, of course, or maybe you go into a little bit more of the green side of it. So, they understand, and you might have it in your presentation. And then second, what's the one or two biggest benefits? I pretty much know by doing the review, reading the reviews, and knowing trucking in general. But for the typical person who is not a industry person, explain how that benefit is for the driver.
Lots of benefits for the drivers, and that's what I like also about my job at shows. Trade shows, I get to speak with drivers directly. I've helped, the drivers for which we install these kits on in Canada. We have some grants for these installations, so I had their feedback afterwards. And the main thing that came out of it is the autonomy that it brings. So and no more idling. So they can have like a minimum of 11 hours of autonomy with the battery, and that's when your AC is full on and it's really hot outside. So for people who live in their truck, a lot of them do. A lot of them have a lot of things going on. There could be microwaves, fridge, television, CPAPs during the night. So that takes out a lot of juice from a lot of energy. So not having the truck idle every 2 hours with the usual system, that helps for sleeping, first of
Right.
all, and being more comfortable, being assured that your truck will start in the morning after as well. Not having that stress, being able to use every electronic device you have on board and that you need to be comfortable during those long stops. For those owner operators, they're also taking a lot of weight out of their truck, so they can have bigger loads as well. So if you take out all the lead acid batteries, it's about 500 to 700 pounds. And
Oh,
you put your solution in, it's less than 140 pounds. So you're saving a lot of weight, a lot of maintenance as well. So there's minimal maintenance on our technology. So that's a big plus
that's
for
a big plus. Yeah.
drivers as well. Yeah. idling is a major cost in the industry right now. So for big fleets or even for owner operators, when you idle, it's engine wear, it's gas that's pretty costly right now. So all of that added together, financial side, it's always beneficial, and return on investment is actually quite fast, less than a year. Also, it depends. Do you idle a lot or not? What we're solving is idling and not having jump starts, because the supercapacitor really, with that, you don't need to jump start your engine. There's no downtime because of no starts. That can be costly if you're stuck on the side of the road. You have to call someone to come in and get you. That goes up pretty fast. So that's
Yeah.
another.
One thing about it, if you call any of those, like a Love's, travel center or a Pilot, those workers that come out with their trucks, it could be hours before you get somebody out there to get you back going. So yeah, that right there would save you a lot of, even if you ain't worried about the money, it just saves you a headache and hours on your clock.
Lots of hassle, just taken care of, exactly. So this is just our main page. So as I said, we eliminate all lead acid batteries taken out of your truck, no jump starts. And what's great about, you see here the supercapacitor module, it's not affected by temperature. So minus 30, minus 40, there's no problem. The lithium doesn't like the cold, but inside there's a heating system. So it will keep your battery heated. It doesn't take a lot of amperage, so it just keeps it warm in order to receive the charge when the driver is driving. That's when it recharges. We calculated a 9,000 idling fuel saving per truck when a truck idles, let's say 4 to 6 hours a day. Those are for like maybe bigger idlers, but the savings when you calculate them, and we gladly take the time to do that with people who want to install it. So we take all their costs, battery replacement, a number of hours of idles per day in a year, and it goes pretty fast. So the amount of saving you can do amounts fast.
Just looking at that number, if they're saving on average, 9,000, even if that was cut in half, that's a huge amount for especially owner operator. I mean, I hope our owner operators and future owner operators that are watching it with us today, that numbers is traumatic when, you're barely getting by, yearly, scratching the service. I mean, that's probably on average 2 repairs a year that you can pay for that otherwise you didn't have the money for, because it takes everything plus, like you said, less maintenance. So yeah, that's a pretty significant number for sure.
Exactly. And that's what I hear back from them actually most of the time. Less idling, so less gas emissions. That calculation we did, so it was for that type of idling, it was 18 tons of emissions per truck. So sometimes, people are rewarded for saving 1 ton or here and there, but this is actually pretty big. And if you do it for a big fleet, do that times 100, or your trucks that you have in your yard. That's pretty big. Electrifying freight is not always possible, and some people can do it, but not everyone. But this is electrifying a part of the truck. It's like a first step towards having less emissions in the driving industry. With the battery, you also have 355% more hotel load power than any other type of setup that you get with your truck.
Now, is there a certain year model trucks it works with? Does it have to be
It
one of
can
the?
be, yeah, no, it works on every truck. We have it installed at dealers, at mod centers. So Fontaine
Mhm.
Modification does the install, CVS. So this is how it looks. You have the SkelStart here, who's dedicated to starting the engine and our battery. So we have it, the big battery is 628 amps hour. We also have it in a smaller, so 314 amps. This is in 12 volts. We also have the 24 volt available for trucks who are under 24 volts. No need for jump starts anymore. It works under any condition. It has over 1 million cycles. So those are the inside their cells, actually. We put 1 million, but actually it's more than that. It's just we need to put a number.
Right. I
So
understand.
those cells, they could do it indefinitely, receive the energy, give the energy. It's not getting used. It's not getting degraded by its utilization. It's more the electronics on top that will degrade over time. But the supercapacitor cells are good for a very long time. As I said, no hazmat, so it has a 2000 cold cranking amp, so it really gives a lot of power to your starter. People who hear the engine very well, technicians or mechanics, they'll hear the difference when it's a battery starting the engine or versus the SkelStart. So it's a bit more rapid. On a full load, it can crank the engine about 8 to 10 times in a row. And after it recharges in a couple of minutes, and it'll be able to do it again. So it's very, very lightweight as well. As I said, it's not like it looks like a battery. So people, when they see it, they lift it, and it's much lighter than they thought.
Sure.
So it's always a bit surprising. And when a SkelStart is used alone, usually you can take out one of the 4 batteries for starting, put a SkelStart there. It goes directly to the starter, and you can keep your other batteries just to recharge it. And your batteries can be almost dead or depleted, and SkelStart is still able to receive voltage coming from there. So here it says 9 volts needed to recharge. So it'll take everything, it'll accumulate that energy and be able to give 13 to 14 volts to the starter directly.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so even if your batteries, people who only use the SkelStart can keep their other batteries longer, because those batteries won't be starting anything, so their charge will stay longer. And even if they're almost depleted, they can still recharge the SkelStart.
Well, and one thing, just me thinking off the top of my head that I could see where it's good, you was talking about how it can be used at any temperature, especially with you guys up in Canada. I don't have that problem. Well, I do have that problem in the South, but not near as bad. I'm in the southern part of the United States, but every cold winter it kills batteries, and it's always when you don't need. The worst timings when you go out there, even in a personal car, you can't crank. And I've had that happen a lot with drivers, especially during the winter. They would take a load maybe through the Christmas holiday and stay home 4 or 5 days to deliver, maybe that Monday after Christmas. They go out Sunday to crank up and do a pre-check, and they're stuck, and then you got everybody needing that product. So I could see definitely with the more of the northern states in the US and in Canada, that right there would be worth it, just to not ever have to worry about that again.
Totally, totally. So for the battery as well, so the 2 of them can fit right in your battery box underneath the driver. So you'll have the SkelStart and the lithium battery, which is about 3 group 31 when put next to each other. With the SkelStart, it's the same size as those 4 batteries that you usually have. So it fits right there. It's made to be installed in a battery box. What's special about this battery as well is the BMS, so the battery management system inside. We call it an intelligent battery. It protects itself. Especially here, we have a 10% energy reserve. So let's say the guy is spending the weekend in his truck. He's depleted almost all of his battery. That could be dangerous, because if the battery is not feeding the SkelStart, we also use the battery just to start the engine, the ECU. So there needs to be a bit of power to be able to start the truck before starting. So it protects itself at 10%. So it'll stop. So a person in the cab, they're watching television, everything will stop. Like, hey, what's happening? So the battery, you'll have to restart it to be able to use that 10% to be able to open your dashboard and to have your truck start. See, it fits right in the battery box here. There's a lot of as I said, protections, short circuit protection, over discharge, overcharge. It's in stainless steel. Also, it's not a plastic case, so it's a bit more sturdy. There's a Bluetooth application, so the driver can follow the state of charge of his battery, what's being drawn, how many hours does he have left if he keeps using that type of amperage. And that's what the application looks like. So here you see the state of charge, you see the amperage draw, as well as other little information that can be useful.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the more big things, is the comfort for the driver, and then just the savings of the batteries for a fleet owner. I mean, right there, you've got savings, and then retention wise, if you got a driver that's a little bit more comfortable, if you're a company driver or a driver for an owner operator and your fleet owner puts this in your truck that you're driving, that's going to make you feel like that owner cares a little bit more. And then that's going to in turn make the driver want to stay, do a better job. So I think it would pay dividends for a fleet or owner operator of a couple trucks to do it. I can easily see the benefit.
One of the big things, when we have big fleets, that what's fun is receiving the data. Some fleets get back to us, and they're almost all under 10 to 5% of idling for their trucks. So that's a big difference, especially for fleets. They'll analyze and they'll check every little savings that can be done. And sometimes you do, I'll install this, I'll install that, and it's not that of a big of economy. But when they see it like that, they see that it's well worth it for their operations. Yeah. We had a couple of trucks installed at different fleets. Here we have some data from Melton, so they've installed it and their idle went down. So their usual fleet idling is 27%. Here it went down to 17, and a bit later they did another one, so it was at 22 and it went down to 5.20% on the truck that with our technology. It goes lower sometimes, so that's always nice to get back. We've done some installs at, tell me if I said it right, Nussbaum or Nussbaum?
Nussbaum. Mm-hmm.
Big fleet, very nice to work with. They've been trying it on a couple of their trucks and seeing a lot of improvements of idle percentage.
Yeah, I'd like to ask you about some of that data. Have y'all seen any data difference in like location?
Everything depends, and even in the fleet, they have drivers going to a certain place, and it depends of the utilization you do. It depends as well. The big reason why we're putting so much energy is especially for AC. Fleets in the south, appreciate it for that. And one of the main things we were trying to tell here in Canada, the total cost was really low and still they weren't sure, should I invest, should I do that? And a lot of fleets in the States would buy it full cost with no grants because they saw that it made a difference at the end of the line. Yeah, so we like showing everything we take out and anything coming in. So this was like 625 pounds taken out, and the kit is only 140.
How much savings is that just in those batteries?
I think these are good AGM batteries. So they're about, and I'm talking in Canadian money, about $400 a battery. So it goes high, it goes up pretty fast. Mm-hmm. And you have to change them. So it depends on the operations again and how you maintain them. But usually it's every 2 or 3 years that you need to change them. So just in battery costs, it goes fast. Yeah, so those fees accumulate fast, and the way we configure, there's a lot less of connections or cables. So everything, the way it's set up, is really well made to limit that maintenance on post. The maintenance. This was we call it the battery cemetery. So a lot of fleets that we visit, it looks like that. There's a space to check them, to check the voltage, to charge. That's a picture we like to show. That was one of the main problems that we're solving here. We always have some nice feedback from fleets. Here there's this fleet maintenance manager who said they had amazing results with the hotel load, that the idle dropped to 60% to 18%, and the guy lives in his truck.
Even at those numbers for, at least here in the States with owner operators, if they truly see a savings of just a very little per year, it's worth it. Have y'all had any talks with the US side about being able to get, grants for companies or a kickback from the government if they do purchase, because even here in the States, if you buy new windows for your house, they'll give you a discount if they're, the new up-coated windows. I don't see why the government wouldn't give, especially the way California is about all their, because California is crazed about, their impact to the environment. So have you seen any of that going that way?
We're working on it. It's not easy to find, you guys have a lot of states, and a lot of and states differ. Surely California, what we've seen for now, we've been looking, we've been searching, and it's mostly full electrification of the trucks. So sometimes our solution might look a bit less sexy than a full electric truck. So it's not taken much into consideration. We would have to do maybe more pushing on that side because the numbers talk for themselves.
Right.
It's still a diesel truck, but the emissions are much lower.
Well, I will say this is the best product that I've seen that helps the emission side that like California complains about literally every day. I don't know how it is in Canada, but we can't even run our heat or our air condition and the optimist times without our power having to be cut off for 2 hours to help the grid. And there's no way you can add a couple thousand to a million trucks being plugged every day. I mean, that's just a pipe dream in my opinion. Now we can go autonomous and all that. And I don't know how, unless they build it to where the charging portals are in the road and the trucks are just driving over energy, there's no way because our grid is never going to be strong enough as it is.
Here I have, and I'm sorry, these are Canadian prices, and we're looking at average price of maintenance costs. So we were calculating about, and that's in Canadian money, so 3,500 per year per truck, just for
Yeah.
maintenance on these things that are caused by idling.
Yeah, and for my US listeners, I did a quick check on that. It's about 2,500 US. So that's significant. I mean, for some people in other industries might not think it is, but I can promise you any owner operator sees a way that they can save 2,500 and an opportunity to make more because of their time. I mean, it's definitely worth a conversation with every owner operator for sure.
Exactly. It's a double saving, so
Mm,
that makes sense. We're just showing as well fleets that have adopted the technology. So a lot of in North America, a lot in the US and
yeah.
Canada. We have SFI, TFI, a lot of their branches, and dealers as well that are opening up. As I said, the mod centers and principal dealers. So slowly. And what we like doing as well is when we open a dealer, we take time with them to, do the first install with them, show them everything that can be done. We take some time to explain the technology correctly to their technicians and to everyone over there so that they can pass on that information to the fleet. We also have videos just to troubleshoot, or explaining it to the driver. That's also a big part of our work is the driver being at ease with this technology installed in his truck.
How long does a typical install usually take?
When you're good, it takes about 5 to 6 hours. So our dealers, the mod centers are used to having it installed in 5 to 6 hours.
Okay. So worst case scenario, you're down 2 days in. So that's
Yeah.
that's not bad at all. No, that's
No,
not
no,
bad.
it goes fast. So install time is pretty fast. And since our battery is used to power a lot of things in the cab, we also offer AC. So that goes very well with it. Diesel heaters, the inverters that can be paired, and
Hmm.
also your alternator. So it needs to be a small alternator for charging that battery. So it's less, I think, if I'm not wrong, 170 to 200 max. So it's a small alternator for those types of lithium battery.
What type of feedback have you been getting from the driver? Not so much maybe the maintenance people or the company itself. Have you got a lot of feedback from the drivers? Because I'm pretty sure it's probably almost all positive. So I was just curious of what kind of feedback, because I feel like a driver can sell your product better than anybody to another driver. You know what I mean? That they'll talk about it like, yeah, I'm able to do this. So I was just curious if you had some feedback from the driver.
Well, I have just you're talking, and I've just pulled out some Google reviews from drivers. So I have three
There
of
you
them
go.
here. So I love this one from this driver. He said that he was skeptical at first, but since
Mm,
he has worked with our solution, there hasn't been a day since he didn't want it. It's a great daily
awesome.
experience, knowing he doesn't have to worry about his truck starting and if he has enough power overnight to power all his needs. So very happy truck driver who wasn't, and that's what happens
It's
most of the
Yeah.
time.
Drivers are very skeptical about any technology that's not what they're doing every day. That's their
So
mentality. So yeah, I could easily see that being your 90% comment. Like, yeah, I don't know, but now I've used it, can't live without. So yeah, I could do
that,
that's what I was hoping for because that's why I was saying I think a driver is going to be able to sell this more than anybody, just the simple fact they understand about the skepticism and then they're able to go, well, hey, it actually is, it's worth the product. What they say is true. It's doing what it's supposed to. It's not and two, it's not an invasive technology. That's what a lot of technology is right now in trucking. It's all evasive, there, and it has to be because of the fraud and everything. Luckily, y'all don't really deal with with fraud in the industry, but that's how drivers look at it. So here it's actually something that benefits them. So that's really refreshing.
yeah. And what I like, I've been doing a lot of trade shows with our product, and we have, customers or drivers coming over, and I kind of have nothing to do because they're here, they're at our booth, and they're selling to
Oh
other
yeah,
people passing by, and I'm just there letting them talk, and they do all the work for
yeah,
me. So
absolutely.
that hasn't only been on Google reviews, but in real life we see it, and sometimes it's a community too, so the word gets passed. Yeah, another one here. The installation, when you see it at the end, it looks clean. It's well done. So even for technicians, in the just having to deal with it, they see it and they're like, "Wow, this looks nice. This looks well installed," and no problems after the install. Another owner operator. So he's saying that it's efficient, consistent, essential for modern vehicles. Haven't noticed any impringes of fluctuation related to the electronics. So yeah, that's one of the things also. Lithium gives out energy and it stays stable. So it won't go down if you ask a lot of draw out of it.
Okay.
So let's say there's a couple on the road. Sometimes drivers drive with their wives or their girlfriends. They might have a hair dryer or they want to, use stuff.
Right,
We've seen
exactly.
air fryers, we've seen everything. So you can use all of that with the lithium battery. When you think of it, it's really RVing the sleeper cab, and it already exists. It's not something that's new. The only thing that's new on our case is that we use the supercapacitor for the engine start. But the rest, having stable power for your needs, that's not new, and it's literally transforming the sleeper cab into a RV.
Well, exactly, because I recruited for probably 5 to 6 years in the industry, and when I was recruiting drivers or company drivers, the first question they would ask, "Does the truck have an inverter?" I could easily see where that conversation changed. Does it have a C8 in it? Because that's just more comfort, more convenience besides just the inverter because you got to have all that because and you can't blame a driver. I mean they're out on the road, they're living in it, so they want it to
Our
be as
conditions, no, it's not
yeah,
a.
they want it comfortable. Plus, and two, I could see where if fleet A doesn't have it and then fleet B gets it, and then drivers start telling the drivers from then B over to A, go, hey, we've got these C8s, and this is what it does, and this is how my life is now. That's an easy play to steal a few drivers just for the comfort, because really in trucking, one thing I don't think a lot of people understand, especially outside the industry. The pay is not a big difference from company to company. Pretty much, they're within a dime of each other pretty much. There's some conveniences on lanes or areas and home time a little bit. And then the trucks are the same for the most part. I mean, yeah, you might have some newer fleets, the newer trucks versus some older trucks. Some older trucks are better than the newer trucks. So, but if you can help that driver be a little bit more comfortable, feel more appreciative, that's gonna be a huge selling point for a trucking company.
Totally, and if you haven't lived it, it's hard for
Exactly.
people to understand that. So having so much feedback from the drivers, your feedback excellent as well. It makes us feel as we do a difference. So
Exactly.
sometimes when you work, that's the first the first objective was maybe more having a green product, but at the end of it, what the biggest feedback I get from it is getting drivers tell us that they're comfortable in their truck and that it's so much easier for them. So yeah, as I said, it can be installed in any truck. So Kenworth, Peterbilt, Cascadia, any type of truck. So you're going to see different installs in different trucks. It looks pretty sharp.
Yeah,
It doesn't take much space. When we started, we had a bigger battery and we put it in the underneath the bunk bed. So that would take some space for the driver. So just being able to make it smaller and
small.
have it in the battery box, that was really a great thing for them. And one of the Nussbaum numbers we like to talk about is this year. So they took one of their biggest idler. His average idle was really high, 30, 40 sometimes.
That's 45.
Yeah, since he installed it, so it went to 9, 12, 15, and then 3%. Uh,
Wow.
so, they for now they find the numbers really good and
Mm-hmm. Well,
they
that's
keep
awesome.
installing some. Yeah. We do also these new CNG trucks. They're pretty heavy because of the hydrogen tanks, I
Mm-hmm.
think, in the
Yep.
back. So just being what customers like of installing our kit is just taking out some weight. So it's not only the batteries you're taking out all these cables, all these battery boxes that are also very heavy. Well, you can save some weight on there as well. This is Groupe Robert, the company I was talking to you in the
Yep.
beginning
Mm-hmm.
that we developed it with. So, their idles at less than 5% and less than $150 maintenance per truck per year. So that's not on the batteries, it's on every other little thing.
A lot of drivers, especially I would say 60% of probably the drivers on the road, they're not tech savvy people. They're not. They're just simple folk, basically almost like me. I'm not very tech savvy. So when you start talking to them about a lot of this stuff, they don't really understand it. And they just go with it or be skeptical. And so it's all about education. You just have to keep teaching, and it brings it back. And I had this conversation with a colleague at Ready App earlier today. Just ask questions. There's nothing wrong with asking questions. I mean, I ask questions every day. That's one reason why I love doing podcasts. I learned so much that I didn't know about the industry, and then I try to apply any of it I can. So, definitely truckers that are out there, fleet, and safety people, ask about it. I mean, I think it's a great product. So that leads me into my next thing. I was actually going to ask was going to let you give out some information, how to contact y'all, what shows are y'all going to be at coming up in the next few months. So if there's some dealers even that wants to come out, or some owner ops or some fleets that would like to meet up and see the product and talk about it, let everybody know how they can find you and where they'll find you at.
I think we're going to TMC Fall, Jan, this fall. We might be there. The TMC show as well next year. We've just been to the ACT Expo in Nevada, Las Vegas, a month ago. We also do the truck show in Canada. This year is going to be in Quebec, Expo Cam, but usually it's in Toronto. These are about the shows we do usually. We've been at Matt's last year,
Yeah, I was gonna.
well, a couple of months ago. So we have a lot of dealers also that just present our stuff at trade shows as well. So sometimes you might be able to see it.
Absolutely, that's great. Yeah, I was gonna say Matt's. We had a booth at Matt's the last 2 years. It's a big thing. We're actually going with Ready App to the Houston Truck Show into next month. So we'll try to get together and meet in person at some point. But I appreciate your time. It's been
Thank you so much
great.
for your time too.
I want to thank our sponsors that help make this show possible. Of course, our first sponsor is Gray Cross. That's graycross.org. It's a great partnership that we have with them. Gray Cross, what they do is they go out and they help families when their driver, the truck driver loses their life on the road. They go and help the families with funeral costs, medical costs, clothes, food, whatever those families need. They usually the truck driver is the breadwinner of the family. So everybody, please go check out the website, check out the platform. If you can donate $1, $5, $10, it all adds up. It all goes to a great cause, and I truly mean this. If you can't afford to donate anything, share the page. And then, of course, I want to thank our main sponsor, ReadyApp. That's ready-app.com. ReadyApp is helping modernize truck transportation through verified driver profiles, digital onboarding, credential management, and professional visibility tools designed specifically for the trucking industry. So drivers, you go to the site, you download and create your digital passport. That has all your documents. You'll put in everything you need as a truck driver, from your CDL to your medical card, pictures of your truck. If you have an authority, your authority paperwork can go in there. Everything you need to be onboarded, to be on the road. If you get stopped by DOT, you can show them your QR code. They can click that QR code. The DOT officer will be able to see every document they need. No hassles, no scrambling for paperwork. And then for recruiters, carriers, and brokers, ReadyApp helps improve efficiency, reduces paperwork, and builds greater trust throughout the verification and transparency process. They have a product now called Driver Verify. It's got a load board in there. Now they can get the driver documents right there, know if they're legal, if they've got a CDL, or if they're domiciled, then they know they can't work with them. They're connected to a carrier. So a lot of great things going on there. So if everybody will go and check them out, that's ready-app.com. Again, Maree, Ian, we appreciate y'all coming on. I think y'all got a great product. I hope we at Trucker Talk Radio can do you justice and get the word out for you. And everybody, we appreciate y'all listening. Share, like, follow. Check us out on YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, iHeart, Spotify. We're everywhere. So please find us, watch videos, share us, and help these companies that come on the show. And we'll see you all again next time on Behind the Wheelhouse.
Thank you so much.